the National Democratic Congress is in a tussle, one more time, with the Electoral Commission, and it has to do with the transfer of votes, among other things. And it says, listen, we've picked up some intelligence, we've picked up some information, and this whole bit about the EC suddenly coming out to say that our agents shouldn't be at post as far as the vote transfer is concerned, we are not going to take. But the EC has also come to state that for the sake of peace, we've all seen what happened in Ofako in the central region recently, where that son of Mavis Hawakumsin stabbed, among others. But does that suffice for the EC to pivot in the way it is? Some would say even legally, some of these things, there's no fine print to them. But how do we proceed from there? Joining us for a discussion from right here in the studio, we have our guests, and we'll have some of them join us online. We have Dr. Tanko Computer. He is Deputy Director, Elections with the NDC. We also have Gilfred Esiama Kodeo, representative. He's with the CDD. Gilfred, if you can hear me, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good having you join the conversation. We'll also be joined later by a representative from the New Patriotic Party. I'll announce that as and when that comes through. But Dr. Tanko, a very good morning to you. So which one do I use as your surname? Tanko or Computer?
Computer is good.
Computer is okay.
Yeah, but it's...
Because you can't use titles with first names. So Dr. Computer, right?
Yes, it's good to go.
All right. Let's start from here. How did we get here? Again, and I ask that in the sense of the latest conundrum we're faced with, the transfer of votes, the directive from the EC, and what you're saying now that you will not comply. How did we get here? Just walk us through it.
Yes, let me say good morning to Jerry's viewers and to my very best constituents in the up north. I've been the NDC activist. My brother, the Electoral Commission acted in bad faith. That led us to all this. They acted in bad faith. We had a IPAC meeting on 29th May, just last Wednesday. In the IPAC meeting, we look at the CI about transfers. Transfers can be found in CI 127 after registration. Then you say you are doing transfers and proxies. Now, we look at the CI, the enabling regulation that talks about transfers. Now, after reading through the whole regulation under transfers, clearly we realize that there was a lacuna in the CI. It's very silent about deployment of party agents to observe the process. It has not debarred them. It has also not allowed them.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that
there's a lacuna there.
From both ends, there's no clarity in terms of should you be there, should you not be there?
Should not be there.
Right.
It's not clear in the CI. So at the IPAC meeting, presided by Mrs. Jean Mensah herself, we took a decision. Due to the problems, because of suspicions that we always have when we have issues of this nature, because we saw what happened at the registration process, we should allow party agents to observe the process of the transfer, although the law has not explicitly stated it, that party agents should be there. But because of transparency, we just want to be clear in our mind that nobody is doing anything untoward, because we have issues with the returning officers they recruited. You remember we held a press conference addressed by our General Secretary, and that we had issue with the people they've picked as the returning officers. And the returning officers are the people in charge of the transfers. And so if we have issues with their even appointment and they are to guide the process of the transfers, and we fold our arms and allow these things to go, no, we will not accept it. So the IPAC agreed, and it's captured in the minutes of IPAC of 29th May 2024, that party agents should be allowed to observe the process. There was no objection.
When you say there was no objection, there was no objection from the Electoral Commission.
The Electoral Commission and then the NPP.
Okay.
They are our main opponents.
You were all in agreement?
We're all there.
How about other parties?
All the other parties, the CPP, PNC and all that, they all said, oh, it's good for transparency's sake and all that. Let's allow this process to go. Right. So we all exited, smiles, everybody was happy. Even had joined press briefing after the IPAC meeting. Only for Sunday evening.
Which was how many days after this?
That is, we held it on Wednesday, and then we agreed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, things were going on well. Sunday evening, a memo came out from the Electoral Commission, signed by one of the deputy commissioners, Tete, now telling their officers not to allow party agents to observe the process. That's bad faith. Meanwhile, you've already given us a letter inviting us for an emergency meeting on Monday, which is yesterday. And the main topic to discuss was, the agenda for that was just one issue, transfers. So if you knew we are coming to discuss transfers again on an emergency issues, why then do you go ahead to issue a memo ahead of the emergency meeting? Now ordering your people to stop all party agents from observing. That's bad faith.
What do you think that was? An ambush?
And that's complete ambush.
But wait. There's a point to also take note of. You've spoken of your side, your understanding glowingly. But how about what happened in the central region, for which now your parliamentary candidate, Phyllis Koyo Okuno, has been arrested? Now, you must not lose sight of the fact that this thing happened. Yes, I know it's been played a bit in terms of the stabbing, but someone got injured. Your parliamentary candidate was toting a gun, which, from what we hear, was not registered. That in itself is illicit. And the EC is saying, to stem the tide of any such developments going into the future, let these people not even show up. Don't you think, while you had met at IPAC on May 29th, on the back of this happening, there was some logic to the EC's positioning?
They raised the issues. We gave them copious reasons why it defeated their own stance. 2028, innocent Ghanaians were shot and killed. Did that stop the declaration of the results?
You're talking about declaration of results. It's not the same situation.
Agents are to monitor the declaration and the collation of the results. At that point, they were shot and killed. Did that stop the declaration? Secondly, we did registration. We just finished the registration exercise, the limited one. Kokum, you remember Kokum, what happened at Asuna Kokum? Yeah. Did that stop the registration exercise? The violence, the shooting, and then the maiming of guys over there. It ended up in hospital. Some were hospitalized. Agents were there. It didn't stop them. So we are saying that you cannot just use one incident, and you know what happened at Kaswa in 2020. The current MP was seen toting gun and was arrested. Up to now, have you heard of anything about that incident? You see, that is why we are saying that when you do selective... I
do remember that.
Yeah, you remember
Hawa Kumsin herself has also had
similar issues. So when you do selective amnesia in deploring security issues like that, you made us to believe that it's like we are in an animal kingdom.
Okay, hold for me. There are certain pointed questions I'll bring to you, but let me quickly bring in Gilfred, and then Sweetie will also start shooting her questions at you. Gilfred, what is your reading of this matter? The IPAC meetings, the decision on May the 29th, consensus, then the swift pirouettes performed by the EC, about turn, and now where we find ourselves with the... And it's also curious, the NPP has said, oh yes, we'll go along with it in the interest of the law and order. It's raised questions. Do you have any such questions on your mind, Gilfred?
Well, first of all, the Electoral Commission and all the political parties present at IPAC agreed to do this, as has been stated earlier, in the name of transparency. And in fact, the Electoral Commission even, did what you say more than expected by giving out the daily list of people who had applied for transfer to all the political party agents present at the various district offices where the exercise, has been taking place. And so they did this out of maximum transparency, and we all agreed, because when you read the act, the provision for this transfer of registered voters, it doesn't make any provision for political party agents to be present. And you will understand, because anytime that you want political party agents to be present, the law makes it explicit. And it even goes ahead, the EC goes ahead to give accreditation to people who have to be present at the premises of the Electoral Commission wherever any of these exercises are taking place. And in line with that, the political parties and sometimes the Electoral Commission organizes training for the people about how they have to conduct themselves and execute their mandates. In this instance, even when you have the political party agent present or party faithful or affiliate present, one challenging thing is that the law has not given them any specified role. In the case of registration, for instance, when you have political party agent present, they had the opportunity to either challenge the process, which was a formal way to lodge their challenge your registration. That means your registration will be put on hold. They had a way to even register their displeasure at anything that would take place or that took place at the registration center in a form of an irregularity form. They issue all these and they had all those provisions. So in this instance, there are no clear provisions for the political parties agents at the various district offices. So ideally, as I said, it would have been good for them, to be there to monitor whatever will take place over there. But what is also dangerous at the same time is that because you don't have any mechanism for them to even channel their grievances whilst there, if you don't take care, it will result in chaos.
Whose work is it to ensure that those mechanisms are in place? Is it the lacuna in the law we have to fill, or can the EC do that?
Well,
what is your suggestion?
It's a lacuna in the law that we may have to fill. Maybe the law didn't anticipate the situation where political parties will be so agitated about who transfer their vote to somewhere, or we also haven't done enough to educate people about the provisions, the guarantee that people have to provide in order for the EC to agree to admit their request for transfer. Proof of residence. What does the EC demand from these people before they even admit the request? What kind of proof? How rigorous is the proof? And how transparent is it going to be? So that all parties, if you want them to fold their hands, they can fold their hands and know that these are the processes that the Electoral Commission takes. And even after the exercise, if you want to even publish with a proof, this person has moved to this area, it becomes very clear for anyone who has, a different opinion, either to petition or come to the Electoral Commission to present, whatever grievances they have. But the law, I'm sure, didn't anticipate, some of these issues. The mass transfer, has been happening. I think just it used to happen previously, but I think it's becoming now prominent because you have a hung parliament. Now everyone knows that parliament is very important. So they are just looking at how to balance their game very well in order to win seats for themselves, to be more influential at the parliamentary level. So the NDC, they have a case anyway. We agreed to do this, even though you may not say that the law explicitly states that they should be there or they shouldn't be there, but we agreed to do this. So if the Electoral Commission thought it otherwise, why wouldn't they use the same platform to, sort out issues before they would issue any release? Ordering political parties to withdraw their agent from the various offices of the Electoral Commission.
All right, thank you, Guilford. I just want to build on that last point you made. And I mean, you made the same point, Dr. Computer, that there's a lacuna in the law. And my question is, this is not the first time we are having a vote transfer exercise. It's not even the first time we are experiencing any sort of election. So what's different this year? Why are you so concerned, although the EC has given a directive that you should not, for the sake of security, you should not deploy your agents to the various centers to observe this exercise? What is so different? What did we do last 8 years, that this particular year you are so agitated and you want to defy a directive from the EC? What's different?
The difference is that the posturing of this current Electoral Commission doesn't allow anybody to go to sleep and allow them to think that they are independent body, because they have not shown enough good faith to warrant that kind of accolade that we used to know about the Electoral Commission. I walk you through the process. Look at what happened in 2020. The 2020, how many type of results did she declare? On the 9th, she declared one. In the evening, she changed the results. In the morning, 10th, she changed another result. Several changes before, as we speak now, you can't even pinpoint which result did she used to declare Nana-Addo as the president. Changes, that's one. When she was asked to come in at the big cross examination, she ran away. She dodged it. She refused. Look at what happened at the registration exercise of 2023. My dear, one of the most shambolic we ever had in the 2023. As we speak now, they are still battling to sanitize the register of 2023 because a lot of names were taken out from the register. We did an election, assemblyman election, where ballot papers got shot in polling stations. Have you ever seen that before? So this kind of electoral commission, that is noted for this kind of wrongs. Just recent registration, fake figures, wrong figures were being churned out.
Right.
We corrected them.
Is that reason enough to defy a directive from the Electoral Commission? Are you not taking the law into your own hands?
No, we are not. We are not. We all agreed on 29th, IPAC. This is a consultative body that agreed. We are all stakeholders in this business. Where there is a lacuna, we have two choices. Either you go for transparency or you go for opacity. Who will go for opacity? The motto of Electoral Commission is transparency. Go and read it. It's put in there. So you must be transparent in whatever you are doing. So if there's a lacuna, we all agree that in order to plug that lacuna, let's go for transparency.
But do you see,
and they don't want it.
Do you see the wisdom in this decision, though, that it is because of the violence that we saw over the weekend, they've decided that political party agents should not be present because that's what starts the violence that we're experiencing. Do you see the wisdom in that?
There is no wisdom in that because I've given you examples, several examples of violence in elections, violence in registration. That didn't stop the process. That didn't stop it from having our agents. You can't just take one or two incidents in order and say the whole country, no NDC agent. And we are telling you that the evidence we have, with the intelligence we have, with people moving bussing people to go and... Can you imagine doing transfer? And some people will think together, put themselves into a big bus to go and do transfer. Where has it happened before? And you think that political party, we should fold our arms and allow this. This is what we call gerrymandering. They want to gerrymander the electoral boundaries in order to inure their benefit for parliamentary elections.
Dr. Computer, do you realize what you're saying? You are not just talking about gerrymandering, which is a part of a bigger problem.
Yes.
You are basically saying,
yes,
and you have to watch your words, you're basically saying the Electoral Commission is in cahoots with whichever entity to rig the 2024 elections. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we are very clear in our mind in that. And we are very clear. Even at IPAC yesterday, we didn't miss where we told them. We put them with the Electoral Commission. We put them to strict proof on that. Because my boss read out the intelligence that we picked, the numbers, the movement of the numbers. And I'm telling you, look, gerrymandering happens long since before the event of voting. You fold your arms and allow register to be manipulated, names to be moved from one constituency to another in badges, and you don't watch it closely. You go to the event, and then they will go and then legitimize that kind of thing on the elections. And then you will think that it's free and fair election. It's not free and fair election. The election was rigged way, way back before the voting.
You can't take comfort in the fact that if this applies, it applies to the NPP. It applies to all other parties. You can't take comfort in that.
That is why I'm saying that the bone of contention is between the NDC and our main opponent. Don't forget, in Parliament, we've locked horns of 137, 137. And it's only the independents that separated us. Now you are going to a major election of this nature, and buses, people are being bussed from one area to another. Numbers are being moved from one area to another. Yesterday we asked them about figures. The Electoral Commission had the audacity to tell us that they don't have figures as of now.
Who specifically said that?
Their director. The deputy commission, two of them were sitting, the bossman and the Tete.
Which one said it?
Tete said it because we asked for data as we are doing, because they said they want to move the gadgets to the universities, to aid the university students to do transfers who are currently on campus. And we said, where is the data? Because he mentioned that a lot of them are massing up at their offices to do the transfers. So in order to ease this pressure, they want to do that. And we said, look, we are for it. We want to help our university students. But where is the data? Which data account for this decision that you want to take? In any case, we are talking of provisional register. We don't even have provisional register as we speak now. The EC does not have a provisional register.
The same EC?
Yes. And we asked them, where is the figure? Do you know that now? Just ask the EC. What is the total registered people as we speak now? Can they tell you? They say they are still adding up the figures. That is what we are talking of. And so if we have this type of EC, and you think that we should fold our arms and say, we trust these people, they should go ahead. If we hadn't seen the discrepancies they were churning out, do you know the security implication of those figures that they were trying to do? If we hadn't stopped them and made Ghanaians to see the import of those fake figures they were bringing out, on December 7th, you and I will be sitting in the studio here, and then people will vote 19,000, then they will announce 25,000. That is the issue we are talking about. And then so we are clear in our mind when we are saying that we will not withdraw our agents from the place. We will allow them to continue to supervise. They are not interfering in it. They themselves agree. In any time there is violence, it is not the agents. My boss made it clear to them. You must look at the causal aspect of it. Who is causing that? If the actors are the people, because mostly it is the actors, the fanatics, who stand around there, who cause all this mess. So if the security agents cannot hold the fanatics to order and allow the agents to do their work, and now you are now trying to extrapolate the whole thing to look like it is how can one person stop a whole bus? One person.
So during the limited voter registration exercise, I was on the ground. I spoke to some party agents, and the NDC and NPP all admitted that they were merely providing a means of transport to some of these young ones to go to the various polling stations to register. So when you talk about the issue of busing, yes, both the NDC and the NPP have been busing people, and you say it's no crime. So what exactly is your evidence that this special voting registration process, there's some sort of conniving going on between the NPP and the EC? Exactly what are you basing this allegation on? For which reason you're defying the EC's directive?
See,
be as specific as possible.
Yes, registration exercise is different from transfers. Registration, they put the kids at their offices there. Instead of decentralizing it to all the electoral areas.
In transfer, you go as an individual where you produce your documents,
so the people have to move from far distance to come and do the registration because they cause it. The Electoral Commission caused it. It wasn't the political parties. Now it's transfer. You are in the community. They said you are in the community. You must stay in the community for 12 months. That is why the CIC. Stay in the community for 12 months. That qualifies you to transfer your vote to that community. You don't need to pass yourself from long distance to come and do. What is the essence of me going to Cape Coast when I know I don't stay in Cape Coast to do my transfer?
So the NDC is not providing...
No, at all. Completely. Because transfer, we think that the law says stay in you are in the community. Either you are a resident in that community or ordinary resident in that community. 12 months. Because they know that these people, they can't get them in the community to do that. They are busing them from somewhere.
Where?
We've given you the figures. Look at what is going on in Willensi constituency. I'm giving an example. 5 buses, 2 from Accra, 2 from Tamale, that's Sandargu, and 1 from Bimbila. 5 buses, load of people to Willensi constituency to transfer. The footage is there.
How did you come by this information?
Oh, the footages, even your sister's stations in the TV station in Tamale, aired those footages where the innocent young people didn't even understand what they were sending them to do. Only for them to announce that they were coming to do transfer. They said, we're not from Willensi. We don't even know the community. And you brought us here to do transfer. When they insisted, they were giving them 200 Ghana cedis. They still insisted they won't do. So they abandoned them. They had to get other buses to now transport them back to Tamale. So see what they are doing. You bus people without even telling them what you are going to do, only for on the way.
So let me just ask you this. So while again the CI doesn't talk about busing and all of that.
Yes.
Should we get to the point where busing is disallowed for all of you? Should we get to that point?
No, completely. You see, it's the law agencies who are supposed to enforce the law. But you see...
But what is the law? There is no concrete...
No, the thing is, I'm saying that
on busing anyway.
If the Electoral Commission do their work, for instance, during the registration exercise, you bought kits, you had almost 8,000 kits. That was used for the 2020. This time you are using about 6,000 electoral, the electoral areas we have in Ghana. Why can't we deploy to all the electoral areas so that registration become accessible as envisaged in the CI here to the registrant,
right?
So that it will stop this busing.
All right, I understand. And some crucial issues have been raised in respect of look, you say we should go to the district office or some other places like with the limited voter registration exercise, and the distances
Yes.
for some people
Yes,
are
very far.
inhibitive.
Yes.
And they wouldn't want to travel those. It's even sometimes it's financial.
That is it.
Am I going to have the
very
money?
true.
So, but it doesn't affect only NDC.
That's why I'm saying
voters.
that for that
it
one,
affects everybody.
The day course is easy. They
Right.
have forced this person during the registration.
Okay.
And we're
All
saying
right.
that you don't extend that one to transfer. Transfers.
So the EC
sit down.
has forced it, and you, the political parties, are taking advantage of it because both of you have engaged.
No, we are.
But let's also introduce into the conversation Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. He is a CDD fellow. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It appears every week or two something comes up as far as election 2024. But just to throw it to you before Sweetie comes back in, what is your take on developments so far, having heard from the NDC? And it's important to note, just a few weeks ago when we hosted Sweetie, Remy Edmondson, right? Is it the PPP?
Yeah.
He was here also talking about the fact that there had been some such deliberation with the EC. They hadn't agreed on anything. And next thing you know, you remember what he said. The EC had come out to paint a picture as though there had been an agreement on the thing when it hadn't even been deliberated upon in that light. What do you make of, one, the EC and its positioning, two, the NDC and its positioning, and three, the NPP? Your take.
So on the EC's position, I mean, I can understand the concerns that it expresses that, look, if this thing is going to be characterized by violence, then party agents don't show up. But it also seems a bit arbitrary, right? In the sense that if this was a move, although not required for the purposes of transfers, but rather, in conversations and discussions with IPAC, the party representatives being there, you use this platform to build that consensus, to come to an agreement that said, okay, this will be a good thing to do as part of this transfer process. And then something happens which creates concerns for the EC. I think it would have been more appropriate for the EC to have pulled the political parties back together on that same platform to say, look, people, we agreed to do this thing because we believe it's a good thing, but we have seen, one or two incidents of violence. We don't know if the rest of the exercise is going to be characterized by the same level of violence. Perhaps we need to rethink this. Talk it out with the political parties, just as you did in the decision to say would allow you there, and build that consensus. The new consensus may mean, you know what, we would make sure that nothing untoward happens, or the concerns are so grave that, well, maybe EC, we would withdraw or something. But I think it's to just do it in a way that didn't use the same consultative process that arrived at the earlier decision. I think that is where, for me, the EC somewhat erred, even though I do understand their concern. The other thing too is that I don't think you can base such a decision also on, let's say, a single or two incidents of violence. Yes, you don't want to wait for it to be widespread, but I mean, if you look at the entire exercise, if it has been generally peaceful, then again, this is where you want to have conversations with your political parties using the IPAC platform to say, guys, let's make sure that this is violent free. This is free of any other incidents that may might. So that's the EC. I mean, if you look at the NDC, the NDC's issue with the EC, as we've discussed on this platform a few times, ultimately boils down to the issue of trust. And when trust is missing, even when you cough, people would want to know why you're coughing. I mean, it could be that you have a dry throat and a legitimate reason to cough, but it would not sit well. And at this point, I don't know. Yes, the actions or inactions of the EC seems to be what is generating some of these concerns that the NDC as a party has. But at some point, there has to be some reconciliation of this deep-seated issues and deep-seated mistrust between these two entities. I mean, you can't go into a major, in my opinion, you can't go into a major election with your main opposition party still having deep mistrust of the Electoral Commission, who is charged with playing this fair and impartial arbiter role in the upcoming election. I mean, I was very encouraged when the NDC returned to IPAC, because then I said, look, at least they've shown some good faith effort that they would engage with the platform and engage with the EC using the IPAC platform. And hopefully that allows, again, that building of consensus and repairing that frosty relationship between the two entities. But it just seems like that frostiness is coming back again, and questions are being raised about, you know, the intentions of the EC and what the EC is planning or planning not to do with regards to the 2024 election. And at some point, I believe that it may take some third party to try and bridge that trust gap between the two entities. Yes, I know that the political parties will always stay vigilant, will always play their role in sort of overseeing every part of the electoral process. But when it is driven by this deep level of mistrust, for me, it requires a lot more conversation and reconciliation at some point to ensure that even if the trust is not back at 100%, it is at an appreciable level going into the 2020 elections. Sorry, the 2024 elections. My worry about about the decision to say we will still have our agents there is, does it create more tension, and how is the EC going to respond in the face of quote unquote this defiance from the NDC? I mean, what happens if today, in the transfer process, there are NDC agents there? Will the EC call in security forces and ask them to forcibly remove the agents? And then what does that mean for the smoothness of the process? It can potentially get chaotic, and so that is where, in as much as I understand where the NDC is coming from, I'm also wondering if they can, in the meantime, still comply. I mean, are there other ways in which they can do that verification when the process is over, to mount any challenges, etc., etc. I'm just concerned of what would happen at the centers if they still insist that they would have their agents there. But again, it boils down to an issue of mistrust that at some point, hopefully, it can be resolved.
On the
Well,
go ahead.
Let's quickly bring in Justin Frimpong-Kodia, who is General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. He joins the conversation now. Good morning, Mr. Kodia.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm well. I hope you're well too.
Yes, I'm well too. I was in the middle of a meeting, but I've just come out, so I hope the discussion can be.
We're immensely grateful for that. Thank you so much. This entire wrangling between the NDC and the EC, your party has said we'll let the law, at least what the EC has directed, take its course. But looking at how we got here, do you feel there's a way of continuing with this, allowing agents to be at post and still maintaining some peace and security? What's your take?
Well, to start with, greetings to your listeners. What is the position of the law? That is where we should start from. Does the law make room for agents to be at where we are doing transfers?
Does the law bar agents?
Or does the law allow agents?
Does the law bar agents?
And does the law allow agents? So they are the same thing. Let's refer to regulation CI 127, regulation 22, 1, 2, 3, 4. it's very clear about what is supposed to transpire there. Unlike registration that asks political parties to bring their agents, even that one is under the authorization of the Electoral Commission. With respect to transfers, the law is very clear. It is the returning officer who is supposed to vet the person who wants to transfer his votes upon being satisfied that indeed the person has provided proof that indeed is a resident at the place that he wants to or he seeks to transfer his votes. Regulation even 22.2 even makes a point that it does not matter even if the person does not reside there permanently, but if the person is a student or a member of the security services, the person has a right to apply for transfer. That one is very clear. So I don't see why there should be even issues about agents being there and challenging. Or the Electoral Commission gave it to us to come there to observe. If you are just an observant, you don't determine who has a right to transfer his vote or not. The rules are clear. It's saying returning officer. So are we saying that all the returning officers in Ghana, they are all NPP people?
Without the presence of the agents, can the process be manipulated?
No, but at the end of the day, the agent does not have a right to decide who can be transferred or not. Let us stick with the law. Without the law, then there will be anarchy in the country. That's why I made a reference to CI 127. What does the CI 127 say? It gives power to the returning officer. So then are we saying that on the election day, we are going to employ our own returning officers to count ballot papers for us and declare results?
This is the same EC that has been bedeviled with issues of even sometimes the type of people that they have at these polling stations or centers. And no, hold for me, and that they may be politically tainted. Don't you think that is a problem?
But it's the same issue that has run election from 92 to date. NPP has won election from opposition. They have lost election even in government before. Likewise, the NDC. Please let us not take unnecessary tension in this country. We are only one Ghana. We are only one country. Without this country, we are nobody. Why should we allow this thing to degenerate into confusion and chaos? I'm expecting that as fourth estate of the rep, is for us to make sure that at least we make sure that the rules are applied. If the Electoral Commission is doing something that is in contravention with the CI or the rules, that is fine. Then we can all criticize the Electoral Commission. But the position is that the Electoral Commission has the right to give that directive, which is yes. We are there as observers. If at the end of the day, they feel that the agents being there is creating problems at the various transfer centers, and in their result, they feel that we should all leave, why should that be a problem?
Mr. Kodia, the NDC are saying that their concerns is coming from your actions, the NPP. And Dr. Computer is in the studio. He made some allegations about busing people from Accra to some parts of the northern country to transfer votes. Your response to that?
You know, there is a maxim in law that says, "Alligator et probeta." He who alleged has got to prove. The person cannot just come and sit in the radio station and make accusations. We can all do the same. What is the evidence? In any case, what shows that those people who are coming to do the transfer don't live in the constituency? Refer to Regulation 22.1 and 2. One says the person should have lived there for 12 months. If that is the case, the person has to show proof, and that proof has to be sent to the return officer for him to be convinced that indeed the person lives there. So the issue about this person lives there, does not live there, it's an allegation. Let's speak with facts.
But this particular exercise, should we be busing people?
That's a different matter.
This particular exercise, transfer of votes, should political parties be busing people to do this?
I've not seen anything of that sort, and I have no comment to make on that one. It's an allegation that someone is making. And wait, I'm expecting you to ask him to provide evidence and proof of that.
All right, so I have two more questions for you, and then we can wrap because you've been so magnanimous with us.
I'll have to enter the...
No, they are very brief.
I'm sorry about this.
Kodia, if you can just indulge me on this one. So are your agents going to be at the centers or not?
No, we are going to comply with the directive of the Electoral Commission.
All right. Thank you very much, Justin Frimpong
you.
as General Secretary of the NPP. He made some time to speak to us. I would have wanted to find out from him if the shoe had been on the other foot as well, whether the NPP, let's say in 2015 getting into 2016, or in 2016, if this were happening, whether the NPP would have said they would agree not to send their agents there. It would have been an interesting question. I also wanted to reiterate what Dr. Computer had said, but unfortunately time did not allow that. Indeed, they have footage in respect of the busing incident. Did you say Willensi? Is it
yes,
Willensi?
Willensi constituency. And Taltal, I'll give you more evidence. Taltal, you see what happened yesterday.
So what evidence you have, do share with us.
I'll give it to you. If I can forward it to you.
We shall take it from there.
They buzzed people there. And interestingly enough, they were not smart enough. They photocopied the license bill of the MP house to give to them to indicate that they are from the MP house. They were just away from the place. Because clearly they could see that everybody knows the MP, they know his house. They know the number of people who are in there. And you go and bring about 50 people and all of them holding the same license bill of the MP. So you see the thing we are talking about.
Do you have this as evidence?
I said we're there, but agents are there. You see, that's why we have our agents there. The agents, you see, interesting that the agents are not obstructing the process. Look, we have trained them, we have advised them what to do. And if you look at the statement from our General Secretary, it's very clear on that. We are for peace. We just want them to observe the process. We don't want to interfere even in whatever they are doing, but to observe to be sure that the person that they are talking is rightly put it by the General Secretary of the NPP. Yes, he quoted copiously from the CI, and the CI is very clear on that. And so if you are not 12 months in the constituency, why then do you move there to do transfer?
And your claim is that some of these people did not even, you say when they were queried, they did not even know why they were there.
They were there. I said the footage is there. The video footage, I've sent it to you because listen, I would have shown you and you see. They were interviewing them. And they said they didn't even know why they brought them to that constituency. Only for them to say that they should come and transfer. And they said, we are not from the place. They were said that we are not from there. We thought you said you were coming to give us job and we should come and look at areas that we can get the job, only for you to be telling us that we should transfer our vote to the constituency. From Sanaru. This is all over social media. And so that is the problem we are saying that, look, the issue at stake is that we just want to engender peace, transparent processes that everybody is looking for in these upcoming elections. And I'm saying that the EC has not done enough to warrant that we should fold our arms and allow them to do whatever they want to do. That administrative letter or memo they issued on Sunday was in bad faith, complete bad faith, because we all agree. If you all agree and you are going to vary it, come back to us. Let's give reasons why we want to vary that our decision. But you don't do this, and then the following day, you expect me to agree to what you are doing. That is why we also quickly issue a statement telling our agents not to accept. Because look, do you know what happened? Up to now, they are still struggling. Less than 24 hours to election, this EC issued a statement telling them not to vote for parliamentary district. Stop them from participating in the parliamentary election. Less than 24 hours to election, 20 elections. This same EC, knowing very well that we are having IPAC meeting on Monday, Sunday quickly issue a memo telling their people to stop us from participating in the process. So we should fold our arms. When we get to December 5th or December 6th, then this EC will issue a statement saying because they have the authority, don't do this on December 7th. And you think we should comply with that? We won't.
So we're not going to comply with this. Folding your arms, but you were in the meeting yesterday.
Yes.
All political parties were represented.
Yes.
And from my understanding, the meeting ended without any conclusion on this matter. So what would be so wrong if you wait to see how the EC decides to move forward rather than actively defying the directive? Also, where is your confidence coming from?
No.
Why are you so sure that you can just defy the directive of the EC and get away with it?
No, we are defying unlawful directive. It's unlawful because...
But the EC has the mandate.
On what grounds are they issuing that statement? We asked them in IPAC.
So on what ground did they give you that permission that we can all observe the election,
all of us,
the registration?
They were saying that in a situation where there is a lacuna, we have two options. You either choose transparency or you go for opaqueness.
And they chose transparency.
Yes, allowing us to participate. So
And
why are they now going back?
Something happened. No, follow me here. Something happened. Violence. Some people were stabbed. Lives were in danger. For which reason they decided that maybe this decision that we took was not the best. So why don't you just wait and see how they played forward, since the matter has really not been concluded?
Why didn't they wait for us to meet yesterday, discuss over what they are bringing on board, so that we conclude that, look, we all agree, let's not allow our agents because of one or two reasons. But you don't issue that statement. Issue your memo, directing your people, and now ask us to come and sit down and discuss. That's bad faith. That is bad faith. I cannot trust a body like this because I took the decision with you. And so if you are going to vary that decision, wait for me on Monday. In any case, when they took the decision on Sunday, did anybody hack each other on the Sunday? Nothing happened on Sunday. So why couldn't they have waited for Monday so that we meet, discuss this one, and say, okay, due to what you are saying, the reasons you are giving, we all advise ourselves and say, let's keep our agents aside. But you took the decision and now come to explain to us the reason. And the reason was violent. We have 268 centers of the electoral offices. 3 out of 300 cannot dismantle all the 260 plus. What are they telling us? What kind of logic is that? I say Kokum in Snafo South, violence happened there. Adansi, Asokwa, Ashanti, violence happened there. Akontambra, Ekumfi, soldiers were chasing people during registration. Violence. Did that stop the registration? Did that stop our agents from observing the registration? I could count you a number of areas where violence happened during the registration. Why didn't they stop that one? This one, just 3. They mentioned 3. They were talking of Contombra. They were talking of Kasua. And where again? I think the third person. I forgot the third area they mentioned. 3 out of 268.
So
and
yes,
you are issuing a memo
you make a point. You make a point from the numerical, standpoint, and it makes some sense. But it also takes only one area for a spark, that could engulf the entirety of the country. You were talking about the 8 people that lost their lives in the last election. It took one area. Is it Techiman South, right?
It wasn't only Techiman South.
Yes, but I'm saying that was the main place where a number of lives were lost. Do you get it?
Yes.
There were a few other places, but that was the main area. It takes only one. So don't you think it is important, having taken stock of all of this, that maybe, just maybe, you may be within your rights in a way because there is that lacuna in the law, and I'll be addressing that with Dr. Osai-Kwapo. But for the sake of peace, is there a way you can go about this and still ensure that the processes are being followed without necessarily stoking any scenes that maybe we don't want to see?
It's very clear. We made it very clear to them. That's why we told the EC, sometimes, you see, their own problem. When you are talking to the security agents, at least invite us, we the stakeholders, one from each stakeholder, to sit in the meeting with the security agents. Then we hear and listen properly to what kind of training you are giving to them, so that they don't go there and assume some rules that they don't have. We have one agent at a transfer center. There are a lot of violence is going around their place. The security agents are sitting down looking at them. And you are now blaming the agent for causing that violence. Is he the one causing the violence? The people over there beating each other and hacking each other. You could count not less than 20 or 50 of them are the agents. So all these things that we are talking about, we are just blaming the agents for nothing. The agents are in there with the returning officer, standing there and observing their doing. The people are fighting outside the perimeter. You won't stop them. When the gentleman was allegedly stabbed, was it the agent who stabbed him? It wasn't the agent. That's why we're saying that the causation agents are there. The factors, the actors who are causing it, they know the security agents, they are not helping this process. Because they are there. They are professionals. If you have professional security officers, as they always made us to believe, why can't they keep distance? If you don't, Kaswa is a sport.
Right.
They should have deployed ahead. Ahead of time, knowing that this area, in 2020, the same MP was toting guns And he was arrested. Up to now, we don't even know the
It also, two wrongs don't make a right.
That is
It also doesn't
perfectly
justify
right. Perfectly right.
Phyllis having a gun,
No,
especially when it is illegal. But hold.
It's perfectly, we are perfectly
hold
right.
Hold for me. Let's also bring Guilford into the conversation as we get ready to wind down. But before we get to our final, takes on this matter, Guilford, you've listened to different sides. You've listened to the General Secretary of the NPP. You've listened to Dr. Computer in the studio. You've listened to different parties. One thing I would have been interested in hearing is the other political parties at IPAC, some of the major ones, and what their thinking is on this matter. But Guilford, from where you sit, what then? What's the word? It escapes me. What concessions can be made from the different sides to ensure that we have a peaceful voter transfer process? What do you think?
Okay, well, just a couple of comments before I come on the concession. I think I agree with Dr. Computer on his the kind of resentment the NDC has about the EC not coming back to them, the political parties, to discuss these issues with them. But we all know that IPAC decisions are not binding on the Electoral Commission. I mean, that's an established point, and Dr. Tanko knows about that. So even though we expect the EC to do the right thing, to use the same forum to address their issues, IPAC decisions are not binding on the Commission, and we should accept that. Two, when the Electoral Commission issues some of these directives, and you think these are in bad faith, and you also go ahead and defy, same, it's more or less like the two wrongs do not make a right. So I think in the name of, peace, for calmness, for everything to run smoothly, the NDC definitely would have to rethink the step that they have taken on this issue. So now coming back to the concessions that we need to make, moving forward, I think the Electoral Commission may have to engage the parties again, because the discussion at IPAC yesterday, we didn't agree on anything. There wasn't any decision. So it is better for the Electoral Commission to direct in IPAC. If they have to even put the exercise on hold, just to settle this issue before we move forward, the Electoral Commission should be able to do that. Again, I think the Commission should also be able to provide more information to the political parties and give them assurance about how the measures they've put in place to ensure that people will not take advantage of the provisions they've made. I know that in the past, the Electoral Commission administratively has taken measures to restrict people from moving from one constituency to the other. When they notice some of these mass transfer requests, they take administrative steps. Are the parties aware? Do they know how the Electoral Commission goes about doing this administratively? Again, the Electoral Commission may decide to make the transfer of votes provisional instead of instant, where you go and then you are transferred. They can choose to make it provisional so that the people who will come to request for transfer in their large volumes will be put on a provisional transfer list. And if there are further information, because the Electoral Commission will give the list to the political parties,
right,
they can still keep hold of the administrative processes and guard the process, but they can seek further information from the political parties or other stakeholders before they verify the list that they have, before they go ahead and transfer people. But as it stands now, I think the NDC would have to reconsider the step that they have taken.
Let me quickly, it's interesting to find out, beyond the EC, the NPP, and the NDC, what are some of the other parties thinking? We're joined now by the National Secretary of the PPP in the person of Remy Edmondson. Mr. Edmondson, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Benjamin.
Please speak up for me. So the NDC is making some assertions when it comes to the IPAC meeting on May the 29th, then the about turn of the EC and all that. What do you make of it? Has the EC been lifted above the board when it comes to this issue and the directive now that party agents shouldn't be at the different centers for vote transfers? What's your take?
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so we find the action as a breach of faith because...
Whose action? Whose action?
That's the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
Because we had an IPAC meeting, the last IPAC meeting before yesterday was on Wednesday. And at that meeting, we all agreed that political parties would be allowed to have their agents around to, as it were, observe proceedings. And then late Friday, we received a notice to attend an emergency IPAC meeting yesterday. So we were quite surprised. I myself was yesterday morning on my way to IPAC when I heard it being discussed on air that EC had issued a notice to their officers not to allow political party agents to anymore into the centers. And yesterday we questioned them. We found it very surprising because if you called us for a meeting, and the sole agenda was to discuss the ongoing voter transfer exercise. And so we didn't understand why we couldn't wait to dialogue with us since we had all collectively had an agreement just a few days prior. And then again, secondly, when we questioned the EC to let us know, what was the basis for this directive? I know it's also had to do with what the incident I had in Kasua. But I wanted to know how many of such incidents warranted, because if you say that something has happened and so political party agents are disrupting the exercise, how many of such incidents have we heard of nationwide? And in any case, there are a lot of such activities go on anytime we're having regular voter registration exercises. We have a lot of these incidents where party agents are around. So we felt it was quite a bit of premature and quite in bad taste for the EC to solely go ahead to issue such a directive without consulting the political parties we also are stakeholders in this whole electoral exercise.
Well, Dr. Computer was just saying in the studio that the EC has no constitutional backing to even issue that directive. What do you say?
Well, yes, that's something we also discussed yesterday. Yes, when it comes to the voter transfer, it turns out the constitution is a bit of silence on that. It doesn't really explicitly state that agents should be present. But like I said, in the interest of, we all had that decision, in the interest of transparency, that, if looking at how high the stakes are, and particularly now that it's so obvious that political parties, the two major political parties, are actually busing people. Previously, voter transfer was not such a high stake event. Individuals or students or people who had reason to transfer their votes were doing. But now we are seeing political parties actively busing supporters to these registration centers. And that is what is causing all this. So we thought that, it's important for the political parties agents to be present to forestall any accusations of, illegalities. Already the EC itself is under suspicion from some stakeholders because of their lack of transparency and their opaqueness in some of the things they do. So for them, like I said, it enhances transparency when political agents are around. And if there have been certain incidents of violence, I believe we have ways of dealing with this. There are security agents around, but it doesn't warrant on a wholesale cancelling the agreement that we had for political party agents to be around without consulting us.
All right. Thank you so much for those views, Remy Edmondson with the PPP. Dr. Osai Kwapong, your final words before we wrap up.
Well, I still believe that, in the same way that the EC used the IPAC platform to come up with this original decision, I think it would have been, it would have been a good move to have come back to the same platform. Yes, the EC is independent. IPAC decisions are not binding on the EC, but the good faith effort it made to engage the parties using the IPAC platform to say we would have agents observe the transfer process. I think that same good faith effort should have been used to say, you know what, if you guys are going to create confusion, chaos, etc., then let's have another discussion and let's agree that perhaps this is not the best way to go. Right. Or if we still want to maintain the original decision, look, we would have to put some of these measures, parameters in place to ensure that this doesn't become a chaotic activity. I think this would have, forestalled and saved some of the issues, questions that are now being raised about the motives of the EC.
right.
I just want the EC to be in a position to go into the 2024 election with particularly the main opposition party trusting that the EC is not out to get them. But it will take a lot of effort for that to happen.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, CDD Fellow. That is the Center for Democratic Development. Let me come back to you, Gilfred Esiama, for your final words, and then we can come back in the studio. Gilbert, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Bring us home.
Well, I think it's more engagement. The Electoral Commission and the political parties would have to meet, and then they have to reach a consensus. There must be either compromise on the part of either the Electoral Commission or on the part of the NDC that insists they have to be there. But we expect the Electoral Commission to also give more assurance and provide additional information about what they have put in place to ensure that people will not take advantage of this process, as has been alleged by the various political parties. Thank you, Gilfred Esiama, research analyst, also with CDD and a CODIO representative. Back to you, gentlemen, in the studio. Benjamin, any final word? Let me come.
No, I think I'll cede to Dr. Computer. I think I've exhausted my thoughts on this matter.
Very well, very well. We are still sticking to our statement from our General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kuti, and then that of my boss, Dr. Omani Bohama. We want our agents to continue to observe the process. They will continue to be. Even yesterday at the IPAC meeting, my boss rose up and told them to capture it, because those who made reference to that statement was McMenu, the former chairman of NPP. He represented NPP. He made reference to our General Secretary statement, trying to impute some violent connotation in that statement. And it helped us because clearly we read the statement there and everybody saw that there was nothing in that statement that warranted violence. It was rather calling for peace and asking our agents to act professionally on that place. So we asked that they should capture it in the IPAC minutes.
So we're wrapping up.
So clearly we are for peace. We want free, fair, transparent process because we don't want this EC to spring any surprise on anybody come December 7th, like what they are used to. Because this one, the Sunday memo has given us an indication that we should wake up if we're sleeping.
I pray you change your mind.
Oh.
So your way does not actually cause another problem, another event of violence.
No, it won't. It won't. It won't. I can assure you, the NDC, we are prepared for peace. We will make sure that the whole environment is peaceful, and we will protect the sanctity of our electoral process. Whoever is elected, we will support every move. That is what we want to do, but it must be free, fair, transparent.
Thank you.
That is why we are up.
Thank you for joining us.
A pleasure.